Hi, my name is Dave Hagee from Frontier Ag and Turf. Today we're going to talk about the S-Series combines, the Feederhouse adjustments. We're going to do some adjustments today, and then we're going to do some servicing also. Today we're going to start with the service. And on a John Deere combine, right from the 6620s, 20 series combines, right on up to our new S-Series is our Feederhouse reverser. There's two grease zerks in there. Okay, the very first 20 series had only one zerk, but for years they've been running the two zerks. What they've changed now today is if it's all in the operator's manual when it comes to service for more detail. And if there's any questions at all, find your dealer or find us and feel free to ask, because we want to make sure everything runs and gets serviced the right way. What's new on these here is all our chopping heads. Our chopping heads are more aggressive. They're doing more work. They're taking a lot of material and working this feeder house more and more. And what we're learning is we're going to go into the operator's manual and they're going to give us an example. If you have a high yielding crop, corn, if we're running irrigated corn, they want us to grease this more often. It's been regular combining or maintenance is 50 hours. We're changing that to 10 hours. And what they're doing is they're working, they want us to put these two grease zerks at 12 o'clock and at 2 o'clock. The 12 o'clock, every 10 hours, they want to see 5 to 8 pumps. And they're warning us, you'll see grease coming out the spring. So once you see grease come out the spring, back off on so we don't have grease all over everything. On the number 2 o'clock position, they want us to go 2 to 3. And now 2 to 3, then they're warning us about grease coming out from in between the shifts. Then it's going to get on the belt and damage some belts. Okay, so that's what we'll want to watch out for. Another thing, as I tech have learned, I suggest a hand grease gun, because sometimes, guys, if you read in a book, they are looking for back pressure. And it's kind of tough on an electric grease gun, we all know it, to see or figure out when back pressure happens. So that's when it comes to, that's what it is when it comes to greasing the system on the reverser. After greasing our lower feeder house, two grease zerks, we want to take and put all our safety shields back on, and we want to start the header up and the combine and run it. And they want us to cycle the feeder house shivs back and forth to move the grease that we just got done greasing over the top of the cams. Now keep in mind, when we have a platform, we want to be able to run that slow, okay? When you're doing that, either disconnect the drive shaft so it's easier on my wobble box, okay, or at idle. All we want to do is move it back and forth. At idle, we'll be running slow enough where it won't hurt our wobble box, but just pay attention when it comes to that. When it comes to the corn head, it doesn't matter, because we're moving that variable system all day long anyway. Now we're going to change up a little bit, and again, right since our reversers were made, we've got oil in them, okay? It's been for years 80 W90 gear loop. What they've changed there is a synthetic oil, heat. Again, high yielding crop, stocking, a stock chopper, we're really working our reverser. So they're wanting us to put a synthetic oil in it. Also, they're working with a cooler. When you look underneath these here, there's a cooler. What it is more oil. For years we ran 1 quart. Every one of them changed. Again, capacity in the book, that's what we want to go by. They changed, and it gave us an example. For years it was 1 quart oil, they've went into 4 quarts strong. And I'm asking you to look on every combine that you have, capacity, and go by the rules. Also, dipstick, let's watch it. Make sure our feeder house is completely up in the air when we check that for level. And that's when it comes to the service there. Now we've moved over to the right side of the feeder house. There's a couple things I want to show you there too when it comes to service. First off, it's our rock trap. It's our rock trap door. John Deere wants us to rock trap, change the rock trap, or clean it every 10 hours. Okay, we'll raise the feeder house up. There again, safety, always safety. When we raise that feeder house up, put the safety stop on, because we're going to be crawling underneath there. They're asking us to change it every 10 hours or clean it. And the reason for it, say we're in high moisture corn, okay? And high moisture corn, or any crop that's moistured at all, gets compacted and compacted hard. And what happens there then is the rocks doesn't have a chance to come into loose material. Yes, a lot of customers will say, well, Dave, we'll only go 20 feet into the field and it'll be full again. And they're absolutely right. But what happens, guys, is the rock the size of our hands are coming into that rock trap, and it's bouncing through our compact material. So it doesn't have a chance. Now picture us cleaning that every 10 hours, and you go underneath there with your leather gloves on and just be able to just clean out the rock trap, and the trash falls out. It's loose. That rock comes in and it's able to get put into the rock trap where it belongs. If we run it for a week, okay, and we get this real high moisture crop, hard and compact, that rock is able to come in and bounce and go back into our combine. And what's happening and what we're seeing is the feed accelerator. The feed accelerator itself is right up in here, right beyond the feeder house chain. And that's where we're seeing a lot of damage coming in. That rock is able to bounce in and go through our combine. We don't want to do that, okay? So now another thing that we're trying to see and watch is my feeder house slats, okay? What's happening there is rock damage. We just want to watch them. It's kind of hard to turn this thing over. It's really, the belt and everything is really hard to turn. So what I'd suggest there is to take your chain completely off. When you take your chain completely off the top, then you can go to the front of the feeder house and grab the feeder house chain slat, put a little paint on it, and just turn it all around. And check your slats really solid, and check our bolts. All my feeder house slats now, for years, they've been cold rolled or riveted. They're all bolted on now. So we want to make sure that them bolts aren't coming loose. So you want to grab them slats and make sure that they're solid and tight. Another adjustment on our feeder house is up on our feed accelerator. It's an important adjustment. It's a speed. We've got a feed accelerator back here, and it's for 2 speeds, high and low. One of them is for straw, soybeans, wheat, and the other one is corn. And what it is to help give us an even feed to our rotor. So they actually, on a 10 series, or excuse me, on an S series combine and a later 70 series, they give us a decal, and it's going to go from driver to driven, okay? And what's happening to us, if we're leaving that thing in high, it's going to crack the corn. We're going to be adjusting the combine all day long, trying to get rid of cracked corn. So make sure that this adjustment is done. What we're going to do afterwards, just a suggestion, what you can do for yourself. The early 70 series combines, the 60 series combines did not have this decal, okay? It's a nice little decal to put up, and there's a part number on it. Feel free to grab it, come to our store and order it and put them on our 60 series. All our rotors have that adjustment. To finish our adjustments, we moved over to the left-hand side. In the center of our big belt here, there's a belt idler, okay? What a lot of people think on an idler, and it should be, is to keep the belt tight. Yes. If we have an issue where this belt loosens up, an oil leak, a one-way piston that lets loose, it's not really to keep the belt tight. The idea behind it is we slow the feeder house down. We slow the feeder house down to the variable speed as slow as possible, like we're running a platform. Then we go in between the 2 lower shivs, and we want to take an 1/8 inch Allen wrench or a drill bit or something, and we should have an 1/8 inch gap in there. And that's what this idler does. You move it up to widen it, the gap, you put it down to close the gap. The reason for it is the importance of it is, say we have no gap at all down there. This belt has a chance to slip then. It can't grab. Say we have a 1/4 inch gap, too tight, idler up. Then all of a sudden, when we're out there running a variable corn head and we speed this up, we're bending this. We're getting this thing so much stretched, it's too tight. So that's an important adjustment to watch. That should come to the conclusion of our video. I really appreciate you watching the feeder house adjustment. Again, feel free to find us, and I hope you have a fun, safe fall.